So I wanted to make a tutorial how you can take a logo, like a picture, a screenshot from the internet, and if the colors are simple enough, you can separate those pieces and make a logo. So here's this Pepsi logo, and basically when it renders, it'll look nice. In the preview mode, it it looks like this though. So you can see we have these different elements, and yeah, you can even like animate how these pieces move. So the programs you're going to need are Blender and Adobe Illustrator. So let me open up Adobe Illustrator real quick. So basically you need to find a picture. I just went to Google and I got this JPEG, this Pepsi. You just drag that. You can click and drag it right into Illustrator and drop it. This computer's a little slow, but it should work. So a JPEG, we need to convert this into what's called a scalable vector graphic. A JPEG has limited resolution. If you zoom in really close to this JPEG, like it looks good from a distance, if you scale in really close, you're going to see like pixels and all that stuff. We want to convert this into scalable vector graphics, which turns this into curves. So to do that, you click your image, and then there's a blue outline around it.
Other than that, if you're waiting for a ride up by the main front office and not in the hall,
yeah,
thank you.
That's a school announcement. So anyways, there's a blue edge. We have it selected. Now we go up to Object, and we go to Image Trace. And if you click Make, it gives you a bunch of ways to customize it. But if your object is pretty simple like this, if you do Make and Expand, it's just fully automated. And now if we have these different curves, like now this part is outlined in blue, this part is outlined in blue, this part, it's all outlined. So the next part is, how do we save this in a format that Blender can read? So we go to Export. Okay, so the format you can I would just say Save As. We're just going to save this Illustrator file. But instead of an Illustrator file, let's save it to the desktop, and we'll save it as an SVG, Scalable Vector Graphic. I already have one saved, so I'm going to rename this Pepsi 2. Hit Save. And then it'll ask me one more thing, just hit OK. Now that this is saved, I'm going to quit Illustrator. In Blender, your scene looks like this. Normally, if you click around, let's see, if you click around, you're like, how do I select these objects? So just very briefly, go up to your user preferences if this is your first time, do Input, and you want to choose Select with Left. By default, it's Select with Right, and that's kind of strange. And then save your user settings. So now when you click the way you think you should, you can select these objects. I'll turn on screencast keys so you can watch what I'm pushing. To open up that panel, I'm just toggling the N key. To move an object, you grab it with G. Anyways, so I'm going to delete it. I hit X on the object, and then you have to confirm you want to delete it. We'll import an SVG. It's on my desktop. There, Pepsi 2. And now, so like I'm scrolling in, and it doesn't look like much, right? It's totally black. But if I go into wireframe mode by hitting Z, you can see all the curves are there. So let's look from top view. I'm going to hit 7 on the number pad. I'm going to hit Z to go into wireframe. And we're going to give all of these different materials. So in this mode, we'll go over to here. So over here, this is like if you want to render it, this is your render tab. This is like object data about like where it is if you want to move it. And then this little circle means your material. So there's one material right now. It's called SVG Matte, and it's shared by all 13 objects. So we want to give each object its own material. So like this blue background, I'm going to click the 13 to make it its own user. You could even name it if you want. You don't have to for something like this because it's usually pretty easy, but I'll increase the white and make it blue. I'm gonna quick check. So it's a dark blue, a lighter blue, red, and white. So dark blue, lighter blue. So I'm going to click this 12 again because if I just change that black, it's going to change it for all of it. So you want to give each one their own individual. So I'll say light blue, and I'll do that. And then this will be, I just made it its own user. This will be red, but it was like a lighter red, or I should say like a desaturated red. And to desaturate your colors, you just drag it more toward the center. And then this should be white. Just pull it straight up. And what else? I guess all of these should be white, which I didn't actually name white. So if you click the object, I can switch its material by clicking this drop-down menu and go to white. 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 I don't think I have the eye selected. There, now it's selected. And it's, there you go. Sometimes you have to double click things. So we're close. Now we got to give it this blue. Yay, so we're looking really good right now. The other thing is, it's very small. So here's our light. If I go into wireframe mode, I'm going to box select all these. There are different ways to select, but if you hit B, now if I click and drag, I can select just those. And I'm going to scale it up with S. There. And hit Z to go back into this. So this is a really cool thing happens. If you click these different curves that were mated sounds cool. Anyways, up here in the tab, so right next to materials, there's this thing that's two dots, and there's a curve between them. Now this allows us to extrude. So as you can see, you can kind of see what's happening. But it extrudes from the center, so it goes up and down. So depending on what you want, you might want to create different heights, or vary the heights, vary the level. To hide an object, just hit H. Extrude. Extrude. If you want to be like more precise, you can select it. Hit Command C, Command V, Command V. And we'll just, whatever, extrude these. And then Alt-H unhides it. And what's going on when you hit H, so like here's this generic, this is the object I'm selected. It's called curve. If I hit H, you can see what's going on right here is this little eye is opening up. Sometimes if you render, like you can see it when it's here, but if you click off here and you click render and it doesn't show up, it might be because this is unchecked. If you don't want to be able to select it, you can uncheck the mouse thing, and now I can't select that. But Alt-H just unhides everything. So let's see, if I go into rendered mode, I'm getting kind of something pretty cool. Let's brighten up the background. This is our world setting. You can change the color of the background to white. And right now this background isn't affecting the lighting, so I'll choose environment lighting. And by default it's set to white. You could change it to sky color, but my sky color is also white, so it doesn't really matter. But we could turn that down to 0.6, maybe give ourselves some more shadows. So if we wanted to render it, it's going to render from this camera perspective. You can jump to that by hitting 0 on the number pad. And if you open up the properties panel by hitting N, you can click lock camera to view. And now as you move around the scene by clicking the middle mouse button, you can get a view that you think is cool. You can even animate the view. Basically, if you want to animate the view, with the camera selected, there's a yellow box right there. I'm going to deselect that, hit I, and select location and rotation. You don't have to do this. So I moved the frame I moved ahead 60 frames. I'm going to move like that and hit I for insert keyframe, location, and rotation. And now when I hit play, it'll move between frames. Okay, the last thing I want to show you, let's just do a quick render. If you click over in the render tab and click render, it's gonna, so each frame of this, it's calculating how light is bouncing off this, so it takes time to render one frame. If you want to render an animation, which could be 100 frames, it could take 30 minutes. Some of the things I've rendered takes, all night. But the last thing I want to show you is if you want to give it this nice cartoony style, if you check Freestyle, what's really neat, and go into rendered mode, right now it's rendering everything. If you click border, it'll just render what's in that camera view. But if we wait a second, what Freestyle does is it will find sharp edges and it'll outline them in pencil. And now we click render. So it's going to render the shading, and then it's going to do another pass where it calculates the Freestyle. So it takes a little bit longer. The more complicated your logo or object, the longer the Freestyle pass will take, and it increases your overall time. So there you go. Couple notes. Right now this is in HD, 1920 by 1080, but I'm only rendering 50% of that, so it's actually half of HD. It took 16 seconds to render, and if I do it full, you get a much higher quality image, but it's going to take a lot longer. So I hope you found this useful, and yeah, thanks.